welcome to today's episode of Cooking with Coastline. I'm your host, Stephanie.
And I'm Jessica.
And today we're going to be cooking salmon. Yum. It's one of my favorite dishes. And Jess is going to prepare.
I'm going to be preparing an asparagus with balsamic, tomato, and mushroom sauce. So, really excited about this today.
So good. It's so good. You know, we're going to be cooking salmon in the oven, but you know, if you're going to a cookout this summer, you can put it on the grill. You know, you can pan fry it too if you don't want to, if it's too hot and you don't want to put the oven on, you can also pan fry it. There's a lot of different ways that you can cook salmon today, but we're going to be putting it in the oven. And so when you're buying salmon, what you want to do is you want to try to get more of a flat piece of salmon, because if you buy a piece of salmon that has a huge bump in the middle, it's not going to cook as evenly.
Right.
And you want to try and get more of a center cut of the meat because that's where all the really good fats are. Whereas part of the tail, you may not get so many. So a center cut is usually a really good way to go. And these have already had the pin bones removed from them, which is also very nice. Okay, so I'm gonna be making a marinade. And so what I'm going to need is some extra virgin olive oil. Can do about maybe 6 tablespoons or so. Can use more or less as needed. Okay, now this recipe called for a teaspoon of salt, and I'm just gonna do more like a pinch of salt. That's always good for anybody who may be watching their, you know, their sodium intake, their blood pressure. Okay, so about a teaspoon of pepper. Okay. About another teaspoon of basil, dried basil. And I bet too that if you did fresh, I bet it would be fantastic, fantastic. Okay. And we're gonna be doing a little bit more of some garlic.
I like how this is a nice light marinade too. It's not very heavy.
It
and it's good for the
is.
spring.
Absolutely.
It's very fresh. We're gonna be adding some other fresh things to it. So
yeah. I know you said your mom likes to make salmon with hollandaise. Was it hollandaise?
oh, that was the asparagus.
Oh, the asparagus with
yes,
hollandaise.
Yes.
But there are people who do make salmon with hollandaise sauce
Oh, I
too.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that's a heavy sauce. So
Yeah.
This is nice for the summer. It's nice and light.
Nice and light. Yes, yes. Okay, so it's about a tablespoon or so of some fresh lemon juice. And if you don't have fresh lemons in the house, you can always buy those. Actually, it looks like a little lemon. Yeah. So you can just add
one
it
of those
there.
in my house all
Do
the
you?
time,
Yeah.
just in case.
Okay, very good. And now I'm just going to add some fresh parsley. Okay. And this is a really nice, quick marinade. You know, it doesn't take very long to
not at
make.
all.
Yeah, it's not complicated. It's simple. It's fresh. Love it. Gotta love it. And you know, too, if you don't have fresh parsley at home, you can always just use the, you know, the already pre-bought dried parsley. That's fine. But I'm just gonna mince this here. And it's about a tablespoon or so. Okay. Love all the colors. It's gonna look really nice on that salmon.
It is.
Okay, so I add this in here. Looking good. Just gonna give it a little stir. Now, normally, so for this recipe, you would keep it in the kitchen, you would keep it in your refrigerator for about an hour. You put it on the salmon so that way you can really develop those flavors. But for time purposes today, we're just gonna put it on our salmon and put it right in the oven. Okay, so I'm gonna cut the salmon into 2 pieces so that Jess and I can each have our own piece. Okay. Okay, very good. So as I was saying before, you know, we have those healthy fats in salmon, which everybody just loves. But if you're not a huge fan of salmon, There's a couple of other fish that you can eat, you know, in case if it's not your thing. You can have some mackerel, sardines, fresh albacore tuna. There's a lot of, you know, other fish that you can eat if, you know, salmon's not really your thing. And that's okay. You know, if you're not a huge fan, that's okay. Okay.
All right. I'll come over this way a little bit.
Come over this way, sure. So again, normally speaking, we would have put this in the refrigerator, you know, to sit for an hour. But because of time, we are just going to put this right over our salmon.
Right over here for you.
Okay. Okay. Got it for you. Excellent.
Smells delicious.
Does it smell
All the
good?
herbs and everything.
Yeah. It smells awesome.
Smells good.
So we're just going to roll it like this and fold it down just a little bit. Okay. Then we're going to fold the ends this way. So that way we're keeping all of the juices and all of the marinade inside the salmon. Okay,
all right.
Perfect. And we're gonna put it in the oven. We have it preheated at 375 degrees. And depending on how you like your salmon, some people like it medium well, some people like it well done. It can take anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes for this recipe. Okay, so as that's cooking, Jess, why don't we get started on our side dish?
Sounds good. So like I said earlier, we're going to be making an asparagus with balsamic, tomato, and mushroom sauce. So we've already cleaned off our asparagus here.
Yep.
So if you want to just add a little bit of olive oil to the bottom of that pan.
Yeah, yeah.
There's many different ways that you can cook asparagus. You can boil them, or you can put them in the oven, or saute them. Today we're going to be sauteing them. So we're just going to take off the bottom ends. If you want, there's been a lot of talk about cutting off the ends or snapping them off. I like to snap them off. That's what my mom always did growing up. But I guess Steph said that she'd never even heard of that before.
No.
So
she told me this trick. I said, I've never heard of that before.
yeah, so what you do, actually I'm gonna take a little bit of a longer one, is kind of hold one end and then go towards the middle end or the third side and bend, 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 and wherever it snaps, this is the woody end that you want to get rid of.
Right.
So if you want to start doing that and putting that in there, I'm going to start with the sauce. So over here, I'm going to turn my oven on to about medium heat. And then I'm going to be adding 2 teaspoons. Oh, do you have the teaspoon?
I do.
Thank you. So I'm going to be adding 2 teaspoons of olive oil to my pan.
You know, this is such a nice trick because there have been times where I've cut asparagus where I think I've cut off all the woody ends, and then come to find out, you know, as I'm eating, I start getting into those woody ends. I'm like,
little woody.
oh man. Yeah.
All right, so now I've already pre-washed my tomatoes, and so I'm going to just be having them. So while this olive oil is heating up in the pan, I'm just gonna cut these here. And these are grape tomatoes. We were actually talking about what the difference was between grape and cherry tomatoes.
Yeah.
And with grape tomatoes, they have like a thicker skin, that's what they said. So they last longer. So that's why you see these more often in the grocery store than you do cherry tomatoes. They're easier to travel. And they have a little bit of a heartier taste than the cherry tomato, which is a round, small little round tomato that is a little more on the sweet side.
Right.
So I'm just gonna finish chopping these.
And tomatoes too, you know, they provide lycopene, which can, actually there have been studies that have shown that it can help prevent macular degeneration. So that's always a good plus.
All right, so we have a good amount of tomatoes here. So I'm just gonna add these in.
Yeah. Just want to put our timer on here for our salmon.
Okay, and then we are using portobellini mushrooms, which are smaller portobello mushrooms. So I'm just gonna slice some of these up. We'll add this into the mix as well.
Very nice.
And what we did with these to clean these, we did not rinse them off. We took a damp paper towel and kind of rubbed off the top of the mushroom so you don't lose any of the oils and the nice flavor to it. So and
that's good to know because before I knew that, when I was just starting out in cooking, I would wash the mushrooms and you find that they tend to get really slimy. You know, so that's always a good thing to know, that you want to make sure, you know, just to take that towel and just wipe it off just gently.
All right, so I need to add in some garlic, so I'm just gonna pop over here unless you want to hand that to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to be putting half a teaspoon of garlic in here. So we
Okay.
have a teaspoon here. And then we're just gonna start mixing this up. We're gonna mix this up until it starts getting, the mushrooms and the tomatoes start cooking down a little bit.
And it's good too, as opposed to eating raw mushrooms, if you eat them cooked. When you cook them, the nutrients actually, they become more available for your body to use. So, you know, why not throw some fresh mushrooms into your skillet?
Right.
You know?
I know, I love mushrooms.
I do too.
Tasty. All right, so we're gonna let this cook a little while.
Okay.
And then
All right, now
we're gonna start getting our balsamic vinegar ready.
Okay.
We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of balsamic. So starting to sizzle now, so we'll just give it a few more seconds. And how are the asparagus looking over there?
It's starting to sizzle.
All right. Now with asparagus, they're an excellent source of fiber and folic acid, and they're low calorie, and they're just a great springtime option because they're harvested in the spring. So this is the time to eat them. So I'm really excited that we have the opportunity to eat it today.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the asparagus actually has the folate, you know, that is really good if you're pregnant.
Right.
Women do need folate because it can help prevent in certain birth defects. Folic acid is actually the synthetic form that they put into the prenatal vitamins, you know, because that's just what's more, you know, as opposed to eating, you know, asparagus, you can get it in the synthetic form. But it's always good, you know, to get it the fresh way also.
Great. Could I have your tablespoon or your half tablespoon?
Sure.
Spoon? Just gonna rinse this out.
Sure.
And we'll start adding our balsamic vinaigrette,
Okay.
or the balsamic vinegar actually, I should say.
Yeah. You know, and another thing too about asparagus, which is nice, is that it's actually a natural diuretic. So if you find that you're feeling a little bloated on some days, just eat some asparagus. It can help to take that extra, you know, water weight off. So that's always good.
All right, so I've added the 2 tablespoons of the balsamic vinegar.
Oh,
so
that
we're
looks
gonna cook
good.
down, and it smells
It
delicious.
does. It smells so good.
I'm gonna also add in some scallions just for a little extra flavor. So
Yeah. So good. Isn't food just amazing?
it is.
I mean, food can provide every single thing that your body needs. It's unbelievable. You know, a lot of times we think, oh, we need to take supplements, we need to take all of this extra stuff, when really everything that we'll ever need is right in front of us, you know?
Right. Can I also have the salt and the pepper?
Yes. I'm taking all of your
taking it all
stuff.
off.
Here you go.
All right.
There you go.
So I've added some scallions in there just to add. Look how colorful it is too. You have the red and the green, and then the mushrooms. Just delicious. So we're gonna add a little bit of salt in here. I like to add a pinch too. I like to go by taste instead of overloading it with salt. You can always add salt afterwards. So that's what I say. So looks good. That.
You know, a lot of people too think that the salt shaker is the #1 cause why a lot of people suffer from high blood pressure, but actually that's not the case. The majority of sodium that we consume is actually in processed foods. You know, in things like deli meats, or, you know, pretty much anything that comes into or is in the center of your grocery store, those middle aisles, that's where all of the processed food is. So, you know, sometimes people get a little concerned, oh no, you're adding salt, but really, that's usually only 10% of people's sodium intake.
Right.
So that's also something to keep in mind.
All right, so I'm gonna let this cook up a little bit more, but I'm gonna actually take it off this the stove, and I'm gonna pull out my other pan because we're actually going to be topping this dish with pine nuts.
Cool.
So I actually have some pine nuts over here that we're gonna toast ourselves, and it's a really easy process. It only takes about a minute. You just kind of throw them on. You don't put anything down on the pan, no olive oil or anything like that. And I'm just gonna do a little handful because you don't need too many. They are high in fat, but it's the good fat, so that's a good thing.
Right.
But you don't want to be eating too many.
Right, exactly. Everything in
So,
moderation, right? And adds a nice crunch to the dish too.
So with this, we're just gonna keep them in the pan and kind of let them sit, and every 15 seconds or so, just kind of toss them around so that they don't get burnt on either side. And pine nuts are great. They actually popular in a lot of Middle Eastern dishes. They've been using this nut for centuries, and it has a nice sweet, like piney taste to it. Hence the name pine nuts.
Well, actually, yeah, they're the edible seeds of pine trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a female pine cone.
The female pine.
And there's many different varieties, they said, that but only certain ones are edible. So
So we don't
go
recommend
to the pine trees and start eating them.
Although I did see a YouTube video of this girl showing how to do that, but you want to make sure that, like you said, you're eating it from the right tree.
Proper trees.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You can see too the asparagus is turning that bright green color, and that's what we're looking for. Some people like it a little al dente, you know, some people like it cooked a little more. It's pretty much, you know, to your taste preference.
Yep.
Okay. All right, it's looking really good.
All right, so maybe we can start getting, we'll use this little plate over here.
Okay. And there are other side dishes that you could do with this too. You could do, for your grain, you know, you could do quinoa, couscous. You can do any other kind of pasta dish. We're pretty much just providing the vegetables and the protein.
Right.
So we want to make sure we get all the food groups in with our meal. But there's so many different things that you can add as for the starch part of your meal.
All right, it looks good. How are the asparagus looking over there?
It's looking good. I think they're just about done.
All right, I'm just tossing these pine nuts around. They're getting there. See, they're starting to get a little golden brown. You can kind of see on the edges. So they might take a few more minutes or seconds. Do you want to start plating it?
Okay, sure.
Do you want me to take it? I can do that.
Sure.
Might be a little easier. All right, so now we're just going to be putting the asparagus down on the plate.
Looks so good.
They look and smell delicious.
Yes.
All right.
Slippery little guys.
Slippery. That olive oil here. All right, and now
remove from heat.
We're going to, whoops.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna move that there. And then I'm going to drizzle this sauce over top.
Look at all the color. That looks so great.
There we go. You could lay it out however you'd like. You can lay it flat against the whole plate. We were gonna put our salmon there, but you can present it however you'd like.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna add some of our pine nuts on top. And there you go. So we're gonna let our salmon finish cooking and we'll be right back.
Massachusetts State Police are out on the road every day.
Looking for speeders and aggressive drivers.
Aggressive driving to me is excessive speed limit, following too closely,
On their cell phones, texting,
unsafe lane changes, weaving in and out of traffic.
using the breakdown lane to get around cars.
Okay, and the reason I stopped is you're doing 63 miles an hour and it's posted 50.
We're not out here trying to be the bad people. We're saving lives.
I gave you a warning.
So consider yourself warned.
We're out in force.
Rotary is business development. Rotary is citizenship in the community.
Rotary is fellowship.
Rotary is personal growth and development.
Rotary is the opportunity to serve.
Since 1955, the Dartmouth Rotary Club has provided a variety of civic services for the community. The organization has been a strong supporter of the public libraries, senior citizens groups, and many other town organizations. They have also changed lives by providing scholarships to Dartmouth High and Greater New Bedford Voc Tech students. In addition to these local efforts, the group has an ongoing support for Rotary International's global efforts to eradicate polio, to provide pure water, and to improve literacy worldwide. If you would like to make a difference in the lives of those both at home and abroad, you can call 508-989-7212 or visit dartmouthrotary.com for more information.
Okay, Josh, do your stuff.
Okay, people, you know the drill. Canned foods only, guys.
Sometimes you gotta live what you believe, open your arms, cause that's where it starts. Right here with you and with me. What the world needs now is love.
Generosity, pass it on.
A little help from up above. Faith to me.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
So our salmon's been in the oven for about 30-35 minutes, so I think it's all set. It smells wonderful.
Oh, it smells delicious.
It's really good. Okay.
Oh, it smells really good.
And it was so easy to make. Love it. All right, so we're just gonna open this up here and check it out. Okay.
Wow,
It looks good.
really
It looks good. So one way to tell if your salmon is cooked or not, if you just stick your fork in it and you find that it flakes off just like that, you know that your salmon is done.
Perfect.
Okay. So now the
Grab some.
best part of the show, tasting everything. Okay.
I'll take this other
So
little
good.
half.
You want to take this half?
Yeah.
Sure. Actually, that worked out perfectly.
Perfect.
Now I'm going
Now
to
here's
try
some
out our
asparagus.
side dish. Yum. Sure. Thank you.
Tomatoes.
Some tomatoes too.
Some
Yeah.
pine nuts. There. Oh, have some of that.
Great.
All right. Take some myself.
Okay.
All right. Let's try this out.
It's so good.
It's delicious.
So good. Yeah, you can tell that the salmon is fresh. You know, you got that really vibrant pink color. And it's so tender. So tender. You know, we cooked it in with all of those juices. Really, baking is such a healthy and a really great way to cook the salmon.
And now I'm gonna try one on the asparagus, but I'm gonna cut these up a little bit, make it a little easier. Delicious.
The balsamic is really
Yeah.
nice.
It adds
I
a little
really
bit to
like
it.
the balsamic.
And with the
Try
pine
with
nuts.
the pine nuts.
Delicious. Well, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check us out on our next episode, and don't forget to go like us on YouTube. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
Massachusetts State Police are out on the road every day.
Looking for speeders and aggressive drivers.
Aggressive driving to me is excessive speed limit, following too closely,
On their cell phones, texting,
unsafe lane changes, weaving in and out of traffic.
using the breakdown lane to get around cars.
Okay, and the reason I stopped is you're doing 63 miles an hour and it's posted 50.
We're not out here trying to be the bad people. We're saving lives.
I gave you a warning.
So consider yourself warned.
We're out in force.
Everybody needs a helping hand. Take a look at your fellow man and tell me what can I do? What can I do today?
Courtesy. Pass it off from the Foundation for a Better Life.